Du så flink I norsk. Du så flink I norsk. Du det. Du det. So the letter combinations are S, RT, RN, and RG. These are essential to understanding Norwegian phonology. And that's what we'll cover in this video. But quickly, before we start, if you have any other topics you would like me to cover in future videos, please let me know by leaving a suggestion down below in the comments. I do explanatory videos both in English and in Norwegian. So in English, mostly for beginners topics, and in Norwegian for more advanced or intermediate topics. So what we're talking about is actually mutations with R, because whenever R occurs together with one of these letters, we get an entirely new sound, an entirely new phoneme. And it's whenever these come after the R, okay? So for example, we have the letter combination RS. This becomes sh in Norwegian, sh. So we have the words norsk, Norwegian. We don't say norsk, we say norsk. Norsk kurs. Lars går på norsk kurs, right? Lars, the common name. And then we have person. Person. A lot of people, a lot of learners would say maybe person, but it's not like person like Warszawa. This sh. No, we don't actually do the sh. It's only person. So you could read it like this. Person, basically. We have the a sound here as well. Person, if we were to use Norwegian spelling. Person. Well, Norwegian spelling would actually be this, because SJ is usually sh as well. But that's another topic. This is a phonological phenomenon we have in most dialects, but as you can see on this belt here, we have a belt in western and southern Norway where we have the glottal R sound. So we say norsk kurs, Lars går på norsk kurs. I'm exaggerating now, but here we don't really have this phenomenon, okay? And that actually goes for all of the other things we're going to cover in this video. So the mutations with R, they occur in the eastern dialects here around Oslo, as well as the northwestern dialects, and in middle Norway, Midt-Norge, Trøndelag, and the whole of northern Norway as well. I can quickly add also that RL actually has, well, it's not a mutation because R is usually not pronounced in front of L. So what we say is Erlend, common name, or Erling Braut Haaland. For those of you who like football, we don't say Erling, Erling. Underlag, vinterlig, winter, fall. I just thought I'd mention this as well because we don't pronounce the R here. When it comes to RT, RN, and RD, we are talking about a sound which we call retroflex. Retroflex refers to the position of the tongue in the mouth. So retro, meaning going back, actually means, in retroflex, actually means that the tongue is curled backwards in your mouth. So and it's curled upwards towards the alveolar ridge. So not quite at the teeth, but quite close at the hard part and upper part of your mouth. So let's see some examples. So RT basically sounds like this. T, not T, but T. Here we have the symbol for that. And this is similar, albeit not exactly the same as general English, like heart, for example. So what we say here for peas is erter. We don't say erter, we say erter. Hard, heart. We don't say Martin, but Martin. Martin. RN is also similar to general American English, like burn. So we get this in words like korn. This is the word for grain in Norwegian. Korn. Ernæring. Ernæring, nutrition. International. International. That's an international word, which I don't need to explain. Lastly, there's also RD. This is pronounced as D. So again, the tongue has exactly the same place in the mouth as this, and this, and this. So this is similar to English hard. And we don't have this in many words, but as we will get to later with all of these mutations, we find this mostly across word boundaries. So that means that if there's a word ending with R and the next word starts with a D, then this mutation will actually occur. So, for example, er det sant? Er det sant? So, er det is a very, very, very frequent word combination. We don't say er det. That sounds very strange to say er det. It becomes er det. So if you want to perfect your Norwegian pronunciation, you need to practice this. Here, hvordan går det? Here we have two examples in one sentence. Hvordan. Hvordan. You rarely, if ever, will hear that pronounced hvordan. But okay, maybe every once in a while. Hva sier du? Hva sier du? Notice how I write similar here, similar to general American English. It's not exactly the same, okay? Because we're not saying arted, it's arted. So in American would linger a little bit on that sound before he reaches the tap up against the alveolar ridge. So an American speaker would say heart. Hear that? How it lingers? Heart. But in Norwegian, it's simply a tap, and that's it. Arter. Heart. Martin. T. That's it. Same here. Burn. It sort of is dragged out, but we don't say korn. Korn. Just korn. Ernæring. International. Then there is RD. So we don't say er det sant, men er det. Er det? Er det. Hvordan går det? Hva sier du? Hva sier du? So a good exercise is maybe to try to be very conscious of the tongue's position. So if you have your tongue flat towards your teeth, you can try to withdraw it a little bit backwards. Now it's up against your alveolar ridge. And that's where you create the sounds t, d, and so on. But you see what's going on the picture here. Here it's curled backwards. So have it flat, and then you try to curl it backwards. And now you say the same sounds. D, n. That's possibly a good exercise. I told you about the fact that this also occurs across word boundaries. So that means that if a word ends with an R and the next one starts with an S, or any of these letter combinations we looked at here, that means we get this mutation. Often. Not absolutely all the time, but very often we get it. With RS, for example. Det så mye regn. We don't say det så mye regn, det så mye regn. So, do you hear this? Det så. Det så mye regn. Han barberer seg aldri. Det mange biler som kjører her. You see how this occurs here after a verb in the present tense? Barberer seg. So very often in front of så. Almost always in front of this reflexive pronoun. Barberer seg. But it can also be words such as nouns in the plural, which you can see here. Biler som becomes biler som kjører her. RL is also included here. It's not the main focus of this video, but we say det litt rart. We don't say det litt rart. Maybe we could say it, but det litt rart. You wouldn't hear the R sound. Han hopper langt. Han hopper langt. Han hopper langt. RT. Jeg har 2 barn. Jeg har 2 barn. I guess you could say jeg har 2 barn, but it would be very emphatic. So unless you're placing very strong emphasis on being very clear, you would say jeg har 2 barn. Jeg har 2 barn. Jeg har 3 barn. Han spiller tennis. Unless you're emphasizing your articulation, han spiller tennis. We wouldn't say that unless we're like trying to be very clear. Han spiller tennis. Han spiller tennis. Jeg har penger til deg. Jeg har penger til deg. Penger til deg. That's RT. RN. Filmen begynner nå. Filmen begynner nå. Han ser noe. Han ser noe. Or more informal, han ser noe. We usually shorten noe to no. Han ser noe. Han ser noe. Jeg tenker på penger. Jeg tenker på penger når jeg jogger. Jeg tenker på penger når jeg jogger. So we don't say filmen begynner nå. Han ser noe. Jeg tenker på penger når jeg jogger. These are very unnatural sentences. We definitely have the mutation. Gjør det vondt? Here we're on RD. Ser din sånn ut? Does yours look like that? Ser din sånn ut? Det båter du ikke har råd til. Det båter. Okay, here I didn't do it. You see, sometimes it can happen that actually we don't actually have to do it all the time, but most of the time we do it. Det båter du ikke har råd til. Det båter du ikke har råd til. So as you can see, I may not do it in all cases, and this is where achieving like a complete system of explaining this would get very advanced, where like you don't do it, in which cases you do it, because sometimes we can do it or not, but many times we kind of have to do it unless we're being very articulate. So I guess my point is that you should try to identify this when you hear it, because it will make your comprehension of Norwegian better. And you can try to do it as well, of course, but the most important is probably the comprehension. When we talk about word boundaries, now it's important that you also do it within words, such as words which have RN, RT, RS, but you should also try to integrate some of these across word boundaries. The last thing I'd say here is that we have two very special verbs, two kind of strange verbs as it pertains to phonetics. Because å være and å gjøre, they are often behaving as if they don't, as if they are ending with an R, as if they end with an R. So for example, jeg skal gjøre det. Gjør det. So it's sort of a two-syllable verb, gjør det, but we actually do get this mutation between the words here. Jeg skal gjøre det. Same with det kan ikke være det, det kan ikke være det. Det kan ikke være det. So many times gjøre is gjør det when it's followed by a word ending starting with D or T or N or D or S, sorry. I hope you're not getting confused here. And the same with være. Many times it's pronounced as være det. So you will hear det kan ikke være det. Være det. Det kan ikke være det. Onwards. Du må gjøre sånn. Du må gjøre sånn. Jeg skjønner ikke hvorfor det må være så vanskelig. I notice one more. Hvorfor det må være så vanskelig. Jeg skjønner ikke hvorfor det må være så vanskelig. Det kan være litt rart. So also in front of L, we get det kan være litt rart. Det skal være to nøkler i skapet. Here it's only one syllable være. Det skal være to nøkler i skapet. Du kan ikke gjøre to ting på en gang, og du kan ikke gjøre to ting. Gjøre to. Vi kunne ikke gjøre noe. Vi kunne ikke gjøre noe. Vi kunne ikke gjøre noe. Det kan være noe annet. Det bør være det samme. Det bør være det samme. Hva skal vi gjøre da? Eller hva skal vi gjøre da? Hva skal vi gjøre da? These verbs also behave as if they end with an R. So there you have it. I encourage you to practice this on your own. Try to be aware of the RS letter combination and how it always becomes sh. Try also to be conscious of the position of your tongue as you try to produce this RD, retroflex, RT, RN, those retroflex sounds. Also try to listen for examples of these mutations whenever you hear Norwegian native speakers speaking. So if you like this content, please consider really carefully tapping that thumbs up button, and please take a moment to consider whether or not perhaps one day you should subscribe to this channel. Så du må gjøre det.